Good afternoon and welcome to Markets Today. I'm your host, Mbithe Mwema. Now, today being a Thursday, it's a bit quiet when we're looking at the NSC and also with regards to corporate news. But for your benefit, we will be giving you an overview of what happened yesterday on the NSC, and later on, we have a lot lined up for you. We are looking at the macros for Kenya. What is the outlook for inflation? What is the outlook for GDP growth? And the outlook for currency? Where do we expect it to close later on in the year? For that conversation, we are joined by Saiton, who released a report with regards to their outlook on the economy earlier in the week, and that's a conversation we'll have later on. Going back to the NSC, yesterday volume was slightly up, 1.5 percentage points over the day. 783 million was traded with regards to turnover. Safaricom was the top traded stock with regards to volume. About 8 million shares were traded. The price came out slightly off and closed at 32 shillings. We're beginning to see also continued weakness on the banks. Equity was the second largest mover with 5 million shares traded. The price has come off to 51.5 shillings per share. KCB also at a similar price level with about 2.7 million shares traded over the day. Kenya Airways was a surprise mover with regards to price. It was the best performer over the day, trading up 9.3% percentage points over the day to close as the top mover, or rather the top gainer over the day. Later on, we'll give you an update with regards to what's happening on the NSC today with regards to volumes and foreign participation. For this particular show, or rather for the segment that we are running today, we're taking a deep dive and looking at the Kenyan macros. It's the beginning of the year. What do the analysts expect? When we're talking about the Kenyan macros, we're talking about GDP growth. What is the outlook for that? We've seen a very slowed growth in the last quarter that was reported. That is the third quarter in 2019. Do we expect this to be the trend or not? What is the outlook when it comes to currency? And currency is imperative when you're looking at investing on the NSC. Largely because the NSC is dominated by foreign participation, which tends to be about 70% on average in any particular year. So for them, currency is normally a key mover when they're deciding when to get into the stock market and when to exit. Another thing we will be focusing on is interest rates. What's happening? What is the outlook? Recall earlier in the week, His Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta did give a directive to the Central Bank of Kenya to use anything and everything in its power to ensure that the cost of funding in the economy does not go to the levels that we saw back in 2016. So the question is, what will the Central Bank do ahead of its MPC meeting, and what is the outlook on interest rates? Whether we're looking at the benchmark rate, that's the central bank rate, as well as the interbank rate and the cost of credit. And finally, we will be looking at the outlook on inflation. Now, inflation tends to be up and down depending on what's happening on food. Now, we'll be looking at food, the element of food, largely because we've had a slight onset of El Nino, and if this is the case, and this tends to be followed by a La Nina period, that is, expect drought for some of the areas that are going through heavy rainfall at this point in time. Secondly, the incidence of the locust. Does this actually have an impact on the bread basket, and will this trickle down with regards to food prices and have an impact on inflation? These are the things we will be covering later on as we are joined by analysts from Saiton Asset Management. We take a short break and we will see you later on.